My boss fired me for being too slow after my cancer diagnosis, so I used my final project to legally transfer the company's biggest client to myself. My boss, Mr. Sterling, didn't even flinch when I told him I had cancer. He just steepled his fingers, leaned back in his leather chair, and said, "We all have our battles, David. Just make sure yours don't affect your numbers." That was Sterling, a man who saw employees as either assets or liabilities on a spreadsheet. For the next 3 months, I became a ghost haunting the office, fueled by caffeine and chemo. The fatigue was a constant heavy blanket, but I pushed through, determined not to give him a reason. My biggest responsibility was the Innovate Corp account, a multi-million-dollar client I had personally landed and nurtured for 2 years. Our final project, a massive software integration, was in its last phase. The side effects of treatment started to show. I was slower. My code had a few more bugs that needed fixing. My presentations lacked their usual fire, Sterling noticed. He'd walk past my desk and mutter, "Losing your edge." Or, "This isn't a charity, you know." The day he called me into his office, I knew. He had a stack of performance reports on his desk, a prop for the drama he was about to direct. "David, your numbers have been slipping," he began, not making eye contact. "Your pace is just too slow. The company can't afford to carry dead weight right now." He pushed a severance agreement across the desk. "We're letting you go. You have 2 weeks." I felt the floor drop out from under me, but then he added the one thing that sealed his fate. "Before you leave, you need to complete the final integration plan for Innovate Corp and document everything for the new project lead. Make it a smooth transition." I nodded, my mind already racing. For the next 2 weeks, I was the perfect employee. I worked tirelessly, documenting every single process, every contact, every password. Sterling would smirk as he passed my desk, seeing me work late into the night. He thought I was a loyal dog, fetching one last stick before being put down. He had no idea I was building a cage for him. You see, when I negotiated the Innovate Corp contract, their CEO, a sharp woman named Valerie, was worried about staff turnover. At her request, I'd embedded a key person clause into the contract. It stated that if I, as the designated project lead, was terminated from my position without cause, Innovate Corp had the right to terminate their agreement penalty-free and retain my services through a new entity. Sterling had signed it without reading the fine print, too eager to close the deal. On my last day, I walked into his office. He was on the phone laughing. He gestured for me to leave the handover documents on his desk. Instead, I stood there until he hung up, annoyed. "What is it?" he snapped. I placed a single slim folder in front of him. "This is the smooth transition you asked for," I said. He opened it, expecting to see a list of contacts and procedures. Instead, he saw 3 documents. The first was a copy of the Innovate Corp contract with the key person clause highlighted in bright yellow. The second was a formal letter, signed by Valerie, exercising that clause and terminating their 7-figure contract with his company, effective immediately. The third was a freshly printed business card. It read, "David Maxwell, founder and CEO, Apex Consulting. Our first client, Innovate Corp." Sterling's face went from smug to confused to a deep, blotchy red. He looked from the papers to me, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. "You can't do this," he whispered. I smiled, the first genuine smile I'd had in months. "You said my performance was too slow. I guess I was just slow enough to read the fine print. Thanks for the severance, by the way. I'll be using it as seed money for my new company." I turned and walked out, leaving him sitting in the ruins of his own arrogance. My new company is thriving. He's lost its biggest client and laid off half its staff 3 months later. Turns out my pace was just fine.